I'm here to tell the truth, but I'm very concerned that if I tell the truth here, I'm going to lose my job.
The Liberal government needs a fall person, but when a long-term employee won't be intimidated into lying for them, they throw her to the wolves as well. Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. I hope you're having a great day. On the 7th of August, Diane Daly appeared before the Public Accounts Committee and detailed how she was pressured into lying about her former bosses. I edited this for length, but was careful not to change the meaning of the content. Let's take a look at what she had to say.
I'm here to tell the truth, but I'm very concerned that if I tell the truth here, I'm going to lose my job. I never imagined I would be named in the House of Commons. I suspect this is why I've been invited here, and I'm happy to answer the committee's questions. I have been muzzled for some time now. On December 7, 2023, I received an email from Michelle Lafleur, CBSA Security, to interview as an ArriveScam investigation witness. I was seeking medical support for a cancer diagnosis, so I declined the optional interview. On December 13th and 14th, my Director General insisted on meeting me and told me in an MS Teams meeting to give false testimony against my former bosses for CBSA's security interview.
Very disturbing evidence. I would use that term numerous times to describe what you just shared with committee. You used terms such as speaking out, you were stymied, you were prevented from doing so, you were muzzled by senior management, political appointees, you were intimidated, you're frightened, you're scared, you're concerned about your job. This is Canada's professional public service and the government of Canada conducting themselves in a fashion to intimidate other public employees who do not toe the narrative. And I think that narrative that they're trying to describe is they're trying to distance themselves from GC strategies, trying to distance themselves from Christian Firth. We've had numerous meetings for the past year. We've heard from cabinet ministers who deny any and all responsibility. We've heard from the president of the CBSA, likewise, as well as the deputy minister for PSPC and other senior managers, all distancing themselves and laying all the blame on two individuals, Mr. McDonald and Mr. Utano. Is that your impression as well?
I never saw Mr. McDonald or Mr. Utano do anything nefarious. I would have reported it.
The question is it your impression from being within the CBSA and the PSPC?
No, it's not my impression.
That these officials are trying to distance themselves?
I would say that's accurate.
You would say that's accurate. Who are these people, in your opinion? Who are these officials? Who are the senior managers and the political appointees? Name them, please.
You know, I'm going to these are the people that are likely going to get me fired, right?
Yes, but you're compelled to answer, Ms. Daly, as difficult as it is.
Okay. I have proof, evidence, both email and audio, to demonstrate that I've been intimidated by my former Director General.
Who's that?
Lisanne Bolduc.
Lisanne Bolduc?
Bolduc.
What was her position?
Director General.
For what?
Real property contracting.
Which department? Which ministry?
Public Works.
Public Works. Okay. Who else?
She and my senior director made me come to a meeting.
Who's your senior director?
My apologies. Tom von Schoenberg. At that meeting, and I've got a transcript of the audio, if you would like me to quote one of the lines she stated.
Was it recorded on consent?
It was recorded because I felt I was being harassed and intimidated.
Do you still have that recording?
I do.
And you'll supply that recording to this committee?
I will.
Thank you. Go on.
What Mr. Brock is referring to here is that for a conversation to be legally recorded, at least one party to that conversation must give consent to that. So that's what he's alluding to. Mr. Brock, of course, is a former prosecutor, so he would be concerned with that. However, at this point, this conversation is not going to court. This recording is not going to be going to court. It may, however, be an issue later if criminal charges are laid. So keep that in mind. Let's Let's get back to the recording.
What other senior managers, what other political appointees do you reference as being muzzled, that you referenced that prevented you from speaking the truth? I want names and I want positions and departments, please.
Well, as far as Lisanne Bolduc, it was my deputy minister.
And who was that?
Ariane Riza.
Ariane?
Riza.
Riza. Can you give me an example?
I just could tell you what my Director General said to me. So you know, Diane, the matter is up to our deputy minister and their deputy minister. And the direction that I'm getting as a civil servant, and as you know, this is how it goes down, this is not an option. This is what we have to do.
And that deputy minister, Ms. Riza, obviously answers to the minister, the cabinet minister of the government of Canada.
She does.
Right.
Ms. Daly, your testimony today is explosive and brutal. You've compared this to the sponsorship scandal. You said that you've been muzzled and that you are at risk of being fired for your testimony. Why do you think that you are at risk of being fired by the government of Canada for telling the truth to this committee? What exactly is motivating those who don't want you to speak about grave problems in this government's contracting practices?
First thing I was informed of when I was met with my former Director General, she said, "Oh no, Diane, they only want to talk to you as a witness." Then she went on to make the intimidation. She had been contacting me on a regular basis via MS Teams, via email, via, setting up separate meetings to sort of stalk me is the way it felt. I continued to go to work because I had done nothing wrong. But my name began going out in the press from the October 26th meeting at OGO. So when she said that the Deputy Minister of PSPC and the President of the CBSA were asking that I attend this meeting, and she said she and my senior director could attend if I wanted, so I wouldn't feel like a fish in a crocodile's mouth or something to that effect. That they wanted to ask me if I was being intimidated, threatened in any way, etc., which I told her no, there was no threatening going on by the two individuals she was talking about, which were my two former bosses. I'd say that would be Cameron McDonald, the Director General, and Antonio Utano, my senior director.
You're here today giving, I think, really explosive testimony before this accountability committee. And you're afraid that the things you say, the information you reveal, could result in you potentially being fired. What are the sort of present data points that are pointing you towards that conclusion?
Well, the two investigations. I wasn't supposed to be investigated. Now I'm being investigated by CBSA and Public Works. I have that in writing. And fundamentally, that was the result on your account of you not giving the answers that they were looking for with respect to McDonald and Utano. They were looking in December, if I have the timeline right, December for you to say certain things about them. You didn't. And subsequent to that, you were subject to investigation. Yes. Let me be clear. The December 7th email I received from Michelle Lafleur said it was an optional meeting. I was seeking medical support for my cancer diagnosis. Let's be very clear. I let them know that I was seeking support. I gave them a very fulsome statement. It was optional. When I said this to my Director General and when I said this to Tom von Schoenberg, they were like, well, you have no choice. It's coming from the top. We have our marching orders.
Right. So here's the timeline as I see it. November the 7th, Mr. McDonald and Utano appear before the Government Operations Committee. They give very critical testimony of the government. They do not support the line that this committee had been given by other senior officials. Later that month, they find out that they were being investigated. And in November, part of the testimony that we heard was that Minister Mendicino had been looking for someone's head on a plate. That's a direct quote. The Minister Mendicino was looking for someone's head on a plate in relation to the ArriveScam issue. So November 7th, they don't give the testimony that maybe other senior officials wanted them to. And then they are subject to further investigation, which they find out about later that month. You're ordered to go to an interview. You don't give the answers that maybe they were expecting. And then you find yourself also suspended, also under investigation. Then moving forward, we have the Auditor General's report. And the Auditor General's report says, among other things, in paragraph 156, that there was a case of GC Strategies being involved in developing requirements with officials. Christian Firth comes to this committee on March the 13th and refuses to say who that official was. Why do you think Christian Firth specifically named you in the House on April 17th in relation to what the Auditor General said in paragraph 1.56? Why was the finger pointed at you?
Very good question. I don't know why Mr. Firth made that statement. I do not recall, and Mr. Firth knows this, that any conversation about IT requirements, but Mr. Firth would know that any IT requirements that I received, if I had received any, would have been forwarded to people who actually worked in IT because, again, I'm a procurement person. I'm not the go-to for IT. Mr. Firth worked directly with CBSA IT staff on, I don't even know what they were doing. So let's be very clear. I could not and would not put together a package that didn't come from CBSA IT staff. I wouldn't know what to put in there.
As you can see, she was intimidated and pressured into saying that her former bosses were intimidating and threatening her. When she refused to lie and throw her former bosses under the bus, the government took revenge by suspending her and subjecting her to a retaliatory investigation. It's at the point now where she feels she may be terminated for simply speaking the truth, even though she's required to do so when testifying before committee. In my opinion, this is a sick misuse of power by the government. The question that MP Brock is trying to get to is, how high does this go? Are members in the Trudeau cabinet involved? Daly's current bosses are telling her it came from the top. At the moment, we can only speculate where the orders originated. I, for one, would also like to know what the motivation is for the government to try and discredit their managers. It sounds like a typical Liberal strategy to me. Discredit those who have dirt on you, so that when they spill the beans, you can still lie your way out of it. But that's just my opinion. I'd love to know what you have to say. Put your comments down below. And while you're at it, please like this video, share with your friends and on social media. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Oh, and I do have another channel, Cavalryman USA. If you're interested in US politics, go check that out. There's a link in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.